the majority of the world doesn't have access to banking systems or banking accounts.
Right.
So they cannot create an account into custodian system that require a banking account, right? That's just by design, it's like that. So they need access. And so the only way to provide access to those people is by providing something that is decentralized and non-custodial.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley, in partnership with Leumi Tech, sponsored by Hippo Insurance, Upwest Labs, Turing, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, and in media partnership with C-Tech. Welcome to another episode of 20-Minute Leaders. I'm honored to be joined by Ouriel Ohayon, the CEO of ZenGo, a new generation of all-in-one crypto wallet focused on simplicity and safety. He's a former executive at ICQ and AOL, founder of TechCrunch France, which sold to AOL, Isai.fr, a leading French VC, among many more things. He is French and Israeli, based in Tel Aviv. Ouriel Ohayon, welcome to 20-Minute Leaders from Sarona in Tel Aviv. How are you?
I'm fine. Thanks for having me.
An entrepreneur and expert in the cryptocurrency world, building a cryptocurrency wallet. Ouriel Ohayon, I'm really excited to both understand about your own journey, but also understand the crypto world a little bit better. Both your entrance into this world through the lenses of an entrepreneur, but also through the lenses of a thinker. And when you're looking at this industry and what's been happening until now and where we're headed as a society and sort of as a guild that is thinking through the next generation of decentralized payments, Ouriel, tell me a little bit about ZenGo and about how ZenGo fits into the world of crypto today.
So it's a big question, but so let's start with the basics first. ZenGo is a crypto wallet. What makes it unique is that extremely simple, extremely safe, and extremely usable. Three properties that you don't always find in the space, where everything is complicated, feels unsafe, and is a source of anxiety at every moment, from the moment you start to the moment you use to the moment you need some help. And so we've made it extremely simple for someone to go from zero to crypto in a matter of seconds.
Zero
so
to
we can
crypto.
Explain zero
like
to
that.
crypto in a few seconds. And there's a lot of IP and tech behind it. And we came to the space pretty late when we arrived to that industry. The industry was really already crowded. It looked actually late. Actually, happens to be very early yet. But we arrived with a different way to think about how to solve the problem of how to get people started into the space. And we kind of thought about orthogonal solutions that were not yet used in the market, but that could enhance both the experience and the safety and the security. So we're focusing exclusively on individual investors. We're not focusing on institutions. So we worked for individuals. We serve individual investors. We have customers in 100 plus countries in the world.
Wow.
We start to have a meaningful user base now because we've been operating for 2+ years. We've raised a sizable round of funding recently with Insight Partners, which is one of the best growth equity firm in the world. They've backed, Twitter, Shopify, Cam.com, really big franchise brand. And our ambition is to build one of the most popular brand in crypto banking. And so we're just starting. And the app today is considered as one of the best in the industry. Some people really, really like it. And hopefully, it's going to grow as we do. And what you can do with ZenGo is all the basics of what you need for investing, meaning sending, receiving, buying, selling, swapping, and earning interest, and very soon having even a credit card to pay in the real world. So it's really kind of all in one.
So as a critical thinker in the crypto world, take me up 30,000 feet in the air and walk me through the landscape of where we are today. You've entered the crypto world, I guess, 3 years ago with your co-founders, and you mentioned pretty late in the game and into a crowded space, yet you're already a key player and one of the most notable cryptocurrency wallets. And, what is your understanding today of where we are in crypto and where it's headed?
So the first thing to understand, or the way we look at it, is first, it's very, very early still, although it's been 12 years nearly in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, and still very early. That's number one. Number two is that we are in a transitional period where more and more people want access to better financial systems, not just crypto, but just better financial services. And it happens that crypto is going to be the default layer to do that. And what we have observed is that the first generation of solutions that were built for this industry were built for essentially some sort of experts kind of level of people, right? You need to have a certain knowledge about what you're doing, either in terms of security or in terms of financial knowledge, and just like of independence of what you know how to do by yourself. And so this fits well to a first generation of adopter, but it doesn't work with the next generation of people that are coming to the industry. In particular, if you value convenience, in particular, if you value things that can be done from a mobile phone, and in particular, if you understand that this industry is extremely new and still an extreme source of anxiety for most people, including people that are familiar with it. So once you know that, you understand that there is still room for innovation. The other thing that we were looking at is that this industry was supposed, and is still supposed, to put the user in control of what he's doing. The user is the center. And you don't put the user at the center. The user should be the center of whatever you're doing in crypto. And what we've seen for the first 10 years is that essentially all the crypto trades, all the crypto custody were held into custodian system, meaning basically replication of banking systems that held for you your funds. And it was working really, really well for the first era because decentralized solutions were imperfect. They were too slow, they were too complicated, they still are. And so that was the right way to move forward. But what we are seeing now is that there is a demand for people who want to be in charge, want to be in control, want to have the custody and the control of their funds. And for that, they need to have usable solutions. So the timing was perfect because at the same moment, new technologies enabled to remove many of the friction points, especially in matters of security, private key management, and onboarding systems. And so we arrived and created a new package solution that makes it extremely simple for people to go from zero to crypto in a few seconds by putting them in control of their funds without compromising to the ethos of decentralization. And so we believe that the next 10 years are going to be about creating solutions that will put the user in the center, leaving him in control of what he's doing in crypto, away from a custodian and centralized solution. So I think this is kind of the transition that we are observing, and you also see that with DeFi and the volume of daily trading volumes in DeFi system. You see that with NFTs. You see that with just the mere fact that exchanges are decreasing. You see a decreasing volume of AUM, the total amount of assets that they custody, moving to decentralized custodial systems, and also the fact, let's look at the truth. The majority of the world doesn't have access to banking systems or banking accounts,
right.
So they cannot create an account into custodian system that require a banking account, right? That's just by design. It's like that. So they need access, and so the only way to provide access to those people is by providing something that is decentralized and non-custodial. So this is how we're looking at the opportunity, and we still think it's very early.
And so if we're looking at in the next few years, what are the big building blocks that you're observing in terms of either the consumer behavior or the way that the world is reacting to cryptocurrencies? And I'm understanding that the decentralization of the custodial systems, that's a huge part of it. And actually, I had no idea that this was, a big piece of it. But as you're describing the ethos of cryptocurrency, it makes perfect sense that this is the transition we're in. And I'm understanding, obviously, that we're only 12 years into even, Bitcoin. And so we're just in the very early stages. But as you're sitting now as the CEO of ZenGo and you're thinking through, okay, I'm building to be a market leader in the next 10 years, what are things that you have to take into account with the consumer behavior and the way that the world is shifting?
Yeah, we've seen an acceleration of the distrust toward the existing institutions and organizations that rule the world.
And how does that come about? What is that distrust? How do you define that distrust?
Yeah, the distrust. Yeah, you look at it from, it's always a generational behavior. You see that the younger generation have a profound distrust towards the political institutions, toward the financial institutions. And the way it materializes is by the fact that there is no more empathy between the generation and the systems, right? You can feel that there is a discontent And that is expressed sometimes or anecdotally through erratical behaviors that you see on certain stocks or on certain assets. So on stocks, we've had the GameStop episode, right? And Wall Street bets. That is a materialization of that parameter. You've seen the outrageous and somehow justified raise of Dogecoin, which is a cryptocurrency backed by nothing, which has a meme of a dog as an image. And for me, the rise of Dogecoin is not just the impact of Elon Musk because he's tweeting about it, it's because it resonates with so many people who want to say something, who want to send a message. And for me, this is like an anti-system kind of voice that materializes through this particular cryptocurrency. So you have that fact. The second is not to forget, you have an entire set of the world population, billions and billions of people, including in the US, people that are underbanked or unbanked or not well served by their bank and that don't really love their bank. And they want to have just a fairer way to get access to financial opportunities. And so for them, this is there is no alternative, right? For example, if you are in Nigeria right now, okay, you cannot rely on your banking system or even on your national currency. If you live in Turkey right now, right, the lira is completely crashing. So for them, it's not like a nice to have to think about cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. It's an urgency. They need a parallel system that enables them to send money to their peers, to their family, to pay their bills, to get paid, to create and capture value, and to basically build their personal wealth. And when you cannot rely on your government, on your banking system, on your national currency, well, you look into a new system of trust, right? And blockchain and cryptocurrencies are perfectly timed for this moment in the history of capitalism and the history of mankind. So I think we are in the crux of all those kind of generational patterns, but also macroeconomical and political factors that makes crypto a necessity. It's inevitable. I think now many people have understood it, from investors to institutions to banks to governments, right? Everyone is aware that this is going to be a thing that is there to last. And so the question is, where do you as a company fit into that picture? We've made our choice. We decided to serve exclusively and essentially retail investors. We think this is where we will do the best job, but you have many companies that are servicing different type of population and audiences or geographies. And I think there will be multiple large companies into that space. Our ambition is to become one of the largest, to become the global brand for people who will choose to be in control of their cryptocurrency versus going to invest through a PayPal, a Robinhood, a Revolut, a Coinbase, or whatever, because they will earn the control. They will earn more economically also by being in control. And so we want that to be a reality. And so we could have chosen the shortcut to build the custodian system and make 10x more money, as is the case, but we are mission driven. Our mission is to really stay close from the ethos of crypto and make sure that the decentralization and the control by the user for the user is respected.
Amazing. And so, what I'm taking away from this, and this is something that I'm going to be thinking for a while, is I'm hearing that there's two sides to the coin here. One side is this antitrust idea that we're having these examples of GameStop and Dogecoin, which are messages that are being sent by the society, mostly by people that do have access to the banking system, but have a discontent and distrust with the current way. But what you're actually saying is, let's not get confused, because the real idea here is that this is a necessity. Most of the world, there's billions of people that have no connection to banking infrastructure or banking mechanisms, and also in the Western countries like the United States. And so, yes, we do have these stories, but really, where we're looking at cryptocurrencies, we're looking at something much greater that is actually a necessity to this world. And what it sounds like your mission with ZenGo is directed towards the values of making that world a place where people can participate in this new currency in an affordable and easy way, right?
That's correct. And so just to add some more color on that, what we believe is that there will be an explosion of coins and currencies and financial protocols and systems, and that it is impossible to think that if this is going to be the foundational layer of multiple societies in the world, that people will have to rely on solutions that are unsafe, that are complicated to use, that are not designed for the mobile phone, and that will not look like some sort of remote control, because no one will want 30 wallets. No one will want 30 wallets. It's too complicated. People have less and less time, and they value simplicity. So simplicity in this industry is an underrated value. Most of this industry is optimized for complexity, and the more complex, the more attractive. But the reality is that it disconnected even more people from the value and the interest, because it's just friction to get started with things. So focusing on simplicity is of extreme importance. It's a priority. That means saying no to many opportunities. That means saying no to easy compromises. That means really focusing on a very clear audience and ignoring other potentially interesting economical opportunities, and just sticking to the direction that you want to go after. So for now, we still believe very much in this direction, and we think it's going to becoming a dominant theme into the industry.
Take me back 3 years, and you're entering this world. You're deciding to create a company in the crypto world. What steps do you take as an entrepreneur to both give yourself the conviction and the confidence to go into this emerging market, which is not trivial for new entrepreneurs? And what did you learn about yourself through the process?
So I don't have an amazing story of how I discovered cryptocurrencies, except, and I'm not proud of it, that I was aware of it very, very early on, like really year one of Bitcoin, but I dismissed it like many people. It took me years until I realized it was not only not a scam, but it was a revolution. And I've seen in my career 3 revolutions, like with my own eyes. The birth of the internet, like really from nearly day one. I created a company at that moment. The revolution of social networking, where content was being created by users, not by companies, and the revolution of mobile. And when I finally got seriously into learning about crypto, I recognized the pattern of a revolution, and it was very clear to me at some point that this was going to become a huge tsunami that would affect not just the financial system but all our societies, and there was no way I was going to miss it. So first it was kind of pattern recognition of things that I've seen in the past, but I kind of realized about it really late. Too bad for me, because I could have bought Bitcoin much better price. But that's that. Second, once I've realized that this was something that was going to really matter and matter to me, I had to find the idea. And for me, I'm always trying to kind of connect with a deep pain, a deep personal pain, like that really means something to me, so that it sticks over time. Because the difficulty in entrepreneurship is not to find a good idea, it's to find a great idea that you will stick with over time, even in difficult moments. Yeah, for example, right now the crowd market is kind of crashing, and you have to kind of be able to stick to things that you really believe in, so that you can go through those tough periods. And so when I started to discover this industry, I started to use all sorts of products, and I was really appalled by what I was trying, including by the best products of the market. And so at some point I said, well, this is going to be the future, but those products looks like fax machine, right? They cannot be the future. Yeah. Someone needs to build something that is way better. The difficulty that I had at that moment is I was completely incapable of thinking about technologically how to do that, because I was ignorant about it. Like, I'm an outsider. I didn't know anything about it, and I to get really, really curious about it. So I went through a long rabbit hole of learning about the process. It was not fast. It took me a lot of time until I realized what could be done and find the people I could do it with. But I say that at the same time, it took time, but it was also the cement that helped solidify this project very early on and made us stick to through the difficult period. Because the more we were learning about it and learning the capabilities, the more we got really convinced that this was going to be the future. And as an example, we chose very early on to build our wallet on multi-party computation, a domain of cryptography that has been around for 30 years. But at the time was really, really early, especially for wallets and custody. Well, it happens that 3 years later, multi-party computation has become a de facto standard for crypto security, and that we were especially pioneers in that domain. And so we took a very important bet, but we took, I think, the right bet. And eventually that is paying off. And so making those choices slowly, but really conscientiously understanding really the meaning of it and connecting that to a thesis takes time. But this is what I think eventually pays off when you make those choices in a careful manner. And so we made those choices in that kind of incubation period. And once we got certainty that we could build a product out of it, and we thought that we had the chance at building something meaningful for the industry. So it took about a year to get to that point. And so after we created the company and we started to work, meaning building a team, building a prototype, bringing investors, launching the baby, making some mistakes on the way, but tons of bugs and all sorts of things like that, but also learning that we were building something that was resonating with a lot of people. And that gave us confidence to go further and further and further. So that was the path.
Incredible. Ouriel, thank you so much for your time. This was so wonderful. I have 3 last questions about you, not about cryptocurrency, not about ZenGo, but about you. Back to your childhood, what really fascinated you as a kid?
Flying like a superhero.
Really?
Yeah, of course. I was dreaming about it like many kids. I see my own kids also dreaming about that now. But there was that also. I would say I also always wanted to run fast, really, really fast. Now I'm just a runner, but not a fast runner. Run marathons and stuff like that. But those are 2 things that were really fascinating me. That was when I was a really early kid. Later on, I was fascinated by other stuff, including tech. But that was the thing that was capturing me.
And what inspires you today in your daily life?
I would say I'm trying to think about something that is really specific, but I am fascinated by the perfection of art, meaning that, but that doesn't, I don't think you can apply it to entrepreneurship. I think, a lot of what you do when you create a company is more art than science, right?
Wow.
Because it's a lot of like trial and error until you get to a point of success. There's no straight line, doesn't exist, even for the brightest companies. And so I've been playing music for nearly 40 years. And if you ask me if I'm more fascinated by entrepreneurs or by artists, I'm more fascinated by artists. And I like their quest for absolute perfection. And so you can see it, you can find it when you see that the end result of it is so simple and so elegant that you do not feel the effort. So I'm fascinated by people that can manage to achieve that level of perfection. And this is something that I'm trying to seek in everything that we do, but that is impossible because the world of entrepreneurship is just an impossible set of equations to resolve all the time.
Of course.
But this is really the thing that is fascinating me today.
And 3 words that you would choose to describe yourself?
Impatient, curious, and fast. Something like that. Probably. I hate slow.
Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Best of luck with ZenGo. I'm excited to continue following the journey, and thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.